Ladies, let me tell you something. When a man thinks about you, he can't help himself. He might not even understand why he's doing it, but you'll notice the signs if you're paying attention. One of the biggest ways to know he's got you on his mind is that he's always finding little reasons to reach out. Now, don't get it twisted. Men are not naturally big communicators. Most men can go a whole day without texting anyone, without checking in, without calling just to talk. That's not our nature. We keep it simple, we handle business, we work, we eat, we sleep. That's about it. But when a man is genuinely into you, something changes. Suddenly, that same man who never bothered to call his own friends for weeks is now checking in with you 2, 3, 4 times a day. It might be a text that looks simple. What you doing? How's your day? You eat yet? And you might roll your eyes and think that's nothing special. But it is. See, that man doesn't need a reason to talk to you, but he's creating one anyway. He doesn't want too much time to pass without hearing your voice, without reading your response, without feeling connected to you in some way. That's a man whose mind is wrapped around you. And it's funny because a man will try to play it off. He doesn't want to come across too eager. He doesn't want to scare you off. So he'll disguise it in the most casual, everyday conversations. But underneath that casual surface is a man thinking, I just want to feel her energy again. I just want to know she's good. You got to understand how different this is from the average man's behavior. If you've ever been with somebody who didn't think about you much, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those men can go silent for days, even weeks, without a thought. They don't feel the need to connect. They don't feel the need to check in. They don't feel the need to ask about your life. That silence is not an accident. It's a reflection of where you stand in his heart. Now, when a man does the opposite, when he's creating opportunities just to connect, you better believe that's intentional, even if he doesn't realize it himself. Think about this. You're at work, your phone buzzes, and it's him. Hope your day's going smooth. Now, he didn't have to send that. There's no benefit to him in doing it. He's not getting anything out of it, but the peace of knowing you're okay and the satisfaction of being in your world for a moment. That's how you know you're not just a thought, you're a priority. Men don't just do this with everybody. We might be polite, we might be social, but we don't go out of our way unless it matters. And if he's going out of his way for you, that means something. Now let's be real. Sometimes a woman will underestimate this behavior because it doesn't look like grand romance. Maybe you're expecting love letters, big speeches, or dramatic gestures. And don't get me wrong, those things are nice, but it's the small, consistent check-ins that reveal the truth. A man can put on a show for a weekend, but it takes genuine thought to keep reaching out day after day. It takes genuine feelings to want to hear your voice every night before he goes to sleep, or to ask you if you got home safe, even though he already knows you probably did. That's not performance, that's care. Let me break it down for you this way. Men, when they like you, start to worry about you in little ways. Did she eat? Did she get through that meeting she told me about? Did she make it back from her mom's house okay? And because those thoughts keep coming up, he can't resist reaching out. So he'll text you, you eat yet? Or, how did it go today? That's not small talk. That's his mind circling back to you over and over again. Sometimes he'll even find the silliest excuses. Like maybe he sends you a meme, or he tells you something funny that happened at work. Do you know what that really is? That's not just him sharing something. That's him saying, this made me think of you. And since you're already on my mind, let me use this as a doorway to talk to you again. Don't miss the meaning in the little things. And let me tell you something else about men. We're not natural multitaskers when it comes to emotions. If he's reaching out while he's busy, while he's at work, while he's with his boys, girl, you got his attention in a way most people don't. Because men usually focus on one thing at a time. But when you've got a man thinking about you in the middle of his day, enough that he breaks away from his routine to message you, that means you're living rent-free in his head. And if he does it consistently, that's not just lust, that's not just interest, that's attachment. He's connected to you in a way he probably didn't expect. Now, I know what some of y'all are thinking, but Steve, what if he's just bored? What if he's just texting anybody because he has nothing else to do? And that's a fair question. But here's the difference. You'll know by the quality of his messages. If a man is just bored, the conversation is flat. It doesn't go anywhere. But if he's genuinely thinking about you, he asks things that matter. He remembers what you told him yesterday, and he follows up today. He might say, "How was that presentation you were nervous about?" Or, "Did you ever try that restaurant you mentioned?" That shows his interest isn't just in passing time, it's in being connected to you. And let me be clear, a man who truly cares will keep doing this even when he doesn't get the response he's hoping for. Even if you're short with him sometimes, even if you're busy, he'll keep checking in. Because it's not about him getting attention all the time. It's about him giving attention because he can't help but think of you. That's how you know it's real. I'll give you a picture of what it looks like. Imagine a man driving home after a long day. He's tired, he's stressed, he's got things on his mind. But somewhere in the middle of that drive, you pop into his head. He doesn't even plan it, it just happens. He thinks, "I wonder how she's doing right now." And before he pulls into his driveway, he sends you a text. "Made it home. You good?" That's not strategy. That's instinct. That's a man whose mind won't let you go. When you recognize this behavior, don't downplay it. Don't brush it off like it doesn't matter. That's a window into his heart. A man will show you how much you're on his mind, not by saying it every day, but by finding reasons, big or small, to remind you that you matter. It could be a text, a call, a random picture, or even just an emoji he sends you out the blue. Don't measure the weight of it by the size of the gesture. Measure it by the consistency. If he keeps showing up, keeps reaching out, keeps making sure he's connected to you, that's your sign right there. Because let me tell you something about men. We don't invest energy in what we don't value. If he's putting in that effort, if he's making that time, if he's finding excuses to keep you in his orbit, that's not random. That's intention. That's a man who thinks about you way more than you even realize. Let me tell you something. A man can say a lot of things, but the real truth of how much he's thinking about you shows up in what he remembers. See, most men are not wired to hold on to every detail in life. We're big picture people. We remember the score of the game, the time we got to clock in at work, and maybe the date our bills are due. That's about it. But when a man really has you on his mind, something shifts. Suddenly, this man who can't even remember what he had for lunch yesterday is holding on to the smallest details about you. And you might not notice it at first, but if you pay attention, you'll see it clear as day. Think about it. You tell him once, weeks ago, that your favorite snack is a certain candy bar. You don't make a big deal out of it. You don't repeat it. You just casually mention it. Then one day you're having a rough afternoon and out of nowhere he shows up with that exact candy bar. That's not an accident. That's a man who tucked that little piece of information away because you're on his mind so much that even the smallest detail sticks. A man doesn't just remember your birthday or your favorite color. Any man can do that if he pays attention for 2 minutes. The real sign is when he remembers the things you didn't expect him to remember. The story you told about your grandmother's cooking. The way you said you hate when people cancel last minute. That time you said you used to love riding your bike as a kid. The way you mentioned once that you love the smell of fresh coffee in the morning even though you don't drink it every day. Those are the things that give him away. He's not memorizing them like flashcards. They're just sticking in his mind because you matter to him. Men don't hold on to random information. If you ask a man, "What did your coworker wear yesterday?" 9 times out of 10, he won't have a clue. But if it's you, he'll remember the dress you wore on the second date, the way you styled your hair that night you went to that concert, or the shoes you said were uncomfortable. Why? Because every time he thinks about you, his brain starts collecting pieces. It's like a puzzle, and he's putting it together without even realizing it. Now, here's the thing, sometimes women underestimate this. You think he's not paying attention because he's quiet. But then out of nowhere, he proves you wrong. You'll say something like, "I had the hardest time falling asleep last night." And next week he's asking you, "Did you get better rest this time?" That's a man who not only heard you, but stored it because he cares. That's not just listening with his ears. That's listening with his heart. See, remembering details is not about intelligence, it's about interest. When a man is interested, when he's genuinely thinking about you, he doesn't even try to remember, he just does. It's like when a man loves a certain sport. He'll remember every player's name, every score, every stat, because his mind is locked in. The same thing happens when he's locked in on you. The way your laugh changes depending on your mood, the way you like your coffee, the fact that you once mentioned you're afraid of thunderstorms, those things stick because you stick. And it's not just about remembering, it's about how he uses those details. A man who thinks about you more than you realize will bring those little things back up at the right time. You'll be talking about something random and he'll say, "Oh yeah, you told me you don't like that." You'll be shocked like, "You actually remember that?" And he'll shrug it off, but inside, that's him showing you, "You're on my mind so much, I can't forget." That's a whole different level of care. Let me give you an example. Imagine you told him once that lilies are your favorite flower. Not roses, not tulips, lilies. You didn't make a big deal about it. You just said it in passing. Weeks later, when he shows up with flowers, it's not roses like most men would grab in a hurry. It's lilies. That's how you know he's not just going through the motions. He's thinking about you deeply enough that the details matter. And here's another piece. When a man remembers the small things, it's not just about impressing you. It's about connection. Those details are his way of showing you, "I see you. I don't just hear your words. I know who you are." That's what women want, right? To feel seen, valued, understood. And when a man recalls those little things, that's him doing exactly that, even if he doesn't know that's what he's doing. Sometimes he'll surprise you by remembering something you forgot you even told him. You'll say, "How do you know that?" And he'll smile and say, "Because you told me." That's when you realize you're living in his thoughts more than you knew. Because let's be real, men don't store everything. We filter out most things in life. But when it comes to someone we truly care about, that filter doesn't work. You're slipping through every crack every time. Ladies, don't mistake this for a man just being polite. Politeness is surface level. This goes deeper. This is when he can tell you your coffee order without asking. When he knows the movie you've already seen because you mentioned it once. When he avoids doing something you dislike because he remembered you said it bothers you. That's care, that's thought. That's proof he's carrying you with him in his mind all the time. And let's be real, sometimes he'll test the waters with those details. He'll drop one in conversation to see your reaction because men want to know that you notice their effort. He might say, "Didn't you tell me you had a cousin who lives in Chicago?" He's not asking for information. He already knows the answer. He's just letting you know without saying it directly, "I remember what you told me because you matter." Another thing, when a man really remembers, it's not just about the happy stuff. He'll remember your struggles too. If you once told him about a tough time in your past, he'll bring it up in a way that shows he cares, not in a way that makes you relive it. He might say, "I know this season is hard for you," or "I remember you told me that time of year is difficult." That's a man who's carrying your story in his heart. That's deeper than surface level attraction. That's emotional connection. And it's not about perfect memory either. It's about selective memory. He may forget his keys, he may forget his appointment, but he'll never forget the things that matter to you. Because when a man is invested, his mind puts you on a pedestal. Those little details are his way of holding on to you, even when you're not around. That's why he can recall them so easily. So when you see a man remembering the little things, the things you didn't think mattered, the things you thought slipped past him, understand what's really happening. That's not coincidence. That's not luck. That's love in disguise. That's a man who's thinking about you way more than you realize, so much that even the smallest pieces of you are etched into his memory. Ladies, let me break something down for you that a lot of people overlook. Time is the most valuable thing a man has. It's not money because a man can lose money and make it back. It's not possessions because he can buy new things if he loses the old ones. But time, once it's gone forever. And men guard their time carefully. We use it for work, for rest, for our hobbies, for the things we feel we need to get done. So when you notice that a man starts rearranging his time for you, you better believe that's not a small thing. That's a man showing you he's thinking about you constantly, because nothing makes a man shift his schedule unless he sees you as important. You got to understand how men operate. Most men have routines. They like their rhythm, their order, their way of doing things. Some men wake up, go to work, hit the gym, watch the game, go to sleep, repeat. They keep it simple. And when a man has that kind of pattern, it's hard to get him to break it. But if he's into you, if he can't get you off his mind, he will start making adjustments. Suddenly, he's leaving the gym a little earlier just to meet you for dinner. He's cutting his night short with his boy so he can call you before you go to sleep. He's choosing to sit in traffic just to spend 30 extra minutes with you. That's not convenience, that's priority. See, a man can say, I care about you, with his mouth, but the truth shows up in his calendar. Where he spends his time tells you what he values. If a man tells you he's too busy for you, what he's really saying is you're not high enough on his list. Don't let anybody fool you. Busy is an excuse. We all got 24 hours. We all got responsibilities. But when somebody matters, you find the time. And if he's finding the time for you, carving out space in his schedule just to see you, talk to you, or be there for you, that's because you're on his mind more than you even realize. Now, here's something that will really tell you where you stand. Watch what he cancels for you. Every man has things he values, work, sports, downtime, whatever it is. But when he's willing to put those things aside for you, that's not casual. That's a man saying, you're not just part of my life, you're a priority in my life. Maybe he had plans to watch the big game, but instead he chooses to take you out. Maybe he had a long day at work and would normally just crash on the couch, but he still calls you because he wants to hear your voice. That's sacrifice. That's what it looks like when you're on his heart. Let me give you an example. Imagine a man who's got a busy schedule, meetings stacked all day, deadlines pressing on him. Most men in that situation shut the world out. They focus on work and nothing else. But if you're really on his mind, he'll slip away from that desk just to send you a message. He'll step outside the office to call you for a few minutes. Even when he doesn't have much time, he'll give you some of it. Because to him, a little moment with you matters more than a lot of moments with anyone else. Another way you know is when he plans ahead with you in mind. If a man is only thinking short term, he'll just hit you up when he's free. But if he's truly thinking about you, he's locking you into his future. He's saying things like, let's go there next weekend, or I'm going to take off that day so we can spend time together. That's not random. That's a man scheduling his life with you in it. And men don't do that with women they don't see as special. If he's making sure his calendar includes you, it's because his heart already does. Here's the truth. Men guard their time fiercely because time is energy. And a man will not waste his energy on something that doesn't matter to him. That's why if you've ever dealt with a man who gave you excuses, I'm too busy, I'll hit you up later, we'll see. You know exactly how it feels when you're not a priority. But when a man is into you, the excuses disappear. He doesn't want to wait until later. He doesn't want to miss his chance to see you, to connect with you. He'll shuffle his life around just to make sure you know you matter. Let me tell you, a man can love his friends, he can love his hobbies, but if he's always leaving those things to spend time with you, that's a big sign, because men rarely give up their comfort zones unless something bigger pulls them. And if that something bigger is you, it's because you're on his mind all the time. You're the thought he carries when he's sitting at work. You're the face he sees when he's driving home. And when you're on his mind that much, he can't help but give you his time. Even the little adjustments matter. If he wakes up early just to text you before you start your day, that's time. If he stays up late just to hear about how your evening went, that's time. If he drives out of his way just to see you for a short visit, that's time. Men don't do that unless their feelings are real. Because remember, time is not replaceable. If he's spending it on you, he's showing you what he values. And don't think it always has to be big gestures. Sometimes it's the little sacrifices that reveal the most. He might skip watching a show he likes just to FaceTime with you. He might leave work a little earlier than usual just so he can make dinner plans. He might choose to spend a quiet evening with you instead of going out with his boys. That's him telling you without words, you're important to me. You're more important than the things I usually do. Now, some of y'all might say, but Steve, what if he's just doing this to impress me in the beginning? And that's a fair question. In the early stages, sure, Some men will put on effort just to win you over. But here's the difference: consistency. Anybody can give you a week of effort. Anybody can cancel one thing one time. But when a man consistently shows up, consistently makes you part of his time, consistently sacrifices his schedule for you, that's not a show. That's who he is when it comes to you. That's what it looks like when you've taken root in his mind. So pay attention. If you see a man prioritizing you, if he's rearranging his world to fit you in, that means you're not just a thought, you're a part of his life. That means when he plans his day, you're in it. When he looks at his week, he's factoring you in. When he pictures his future, he sees you there. And that's how you know you're on his mind far more than you realize. Ladies, let me tell you something right now. A man's words about the future reveal exactly what's going on in his heart and his mind. See, most men don't waste time talking about tomorrow with somebody they don't see in their life long term. Men live in the present. We're about what's happening right now today. So when a man starts weaving you into his future, when he's talking about next week, next month, next year, and you're a part of the picture, that's not casual. That's not just conversation. That's a man showing you he's thinking about you constantly to the point where his imagination can't separate itself from you. You got to understand something about men. We're planners, but we're selective planners. We'll plan for the things that matter most to us. We'll plan for our careers, our goals, our hobbies, the things we love. And when you find yourself slipping into those plans, it's because you're on his mind more than you even realize. That's why when he says, we should try that restaurant next weekend, it may sound simple, but it's actually big, because that's him already picturing himself with you days from now. He's not waiting for the moment to come. He's creating the moment in his head because you're already in his thoughts. Think about it. If a man tells you one day, we should take a trip to that place, or we got to do that together sometime, he's revealing something deeper. That means he doesn't just see you as part of his present. He's carrying you into his future. And trust me, men don't do that with everyone. A man may have casual relationships, but when he starts using "we" instead of "me," that's him showing you you've become part of his vision. That's a shift in his thinking, and you don't just end up in that spot by accident. Sometimes it's not even the big future plans, but the little ones that give him away. He'll say things like, next time we go there, I'll order something different, or when your birthday comes around, I already got an idea. Those words may not sound like much, but what he's really telling you is, I expect to still be here with you later. I see you in my tomorrow. That's powerful because men usually keep their tomorrows for themselves. When he's sharing them with you, it means you're living in his thoughts more than you know. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're sitting in the car with him, and he starts talking about how he wants to buy a new place one day. And then he says, it'd be nice to have a place where we could. You see that? He just included you in one of his biggest goals. He didn't even plan to say it out loud, but because you're already in his head, it came out naturally. That's not just a slip of the tongue. That's the truth spilling out. That's a man telling you, when I think about my future, you're already in it. And you can always tell when it's real because it's not forced. He's not trying to impress you with fairy tales. He's not just saying things to keep you around. Instead, it comes up naturally. He'll be talking about holidays, and suddenly he says, we should spend Christmas doing this. Or he'll be talking about summer and say, I can't wait to go there with you. He doesn't even realize he's doing it half the time. That's because his mind has already placed you in his future, and his words are just catching up. Now, let me tell you something important. When a man is only in the moment with you, his words will reflect that. He'll keep it short term. Let's meet up tonight. What you doing this weekend? That's it. But when his words start reaching out weeks, months, or even years ahead, that's when you know you're not just a thought of convenience. You're a thought of permanence. He's seeing you in the chapters of his life that haven't even been written yet. And don't underestimate the small future statements. A man saying, I can't wait till we go back there again, or next time I'll cook for you, is more than casual talk. That's him revealing that he expects you to still be here, that he wants you to still be here, that he's already making mental space for you in the days ahead. That's not temporary thinking. That's rooted thinking. Another thing you'll notice is how he involves you in his dreams. If a man tells you about his goals and immediately starts talking about how you fit into them, that's huge. He might say, when I get that promotion, I'll finally be able to take us on that trip. Or, when I buy that house, I want you to help me decorate it. That's not surface level talk. That's deep, because men guard their dreams closely. We don't share them with just anyone. If he's letting you into that space, if he's already picturing you by his side when those dreams come true, that's because you're on his mind so much that his vision can't exist without you in it. And sometimes the way he talks about the future is playful. He'll say things like, when we're old, I bet you'll still boss me around. Or, I can see you still giving me a hard time 20 years from now. You might laugh, but don't miss the message. That's his heart telling you he's imagining you in his life far down the road. He's not thinking of you as temporary. He's thinking of you as lasting, permanent, essential. Now, I know what some of y'all are thinking, but Steve, what if he's just saying those things to sound good? And that's a fair concern. But here's how you know the difference. Look at his consistency. Does his behavior match his words? A man who's just talking will paint the picture, but never take a step toward it. But a man who's really thinking about you will not only talk about the future, he'll move in ways that show he means it. He'll start planning dates in advance. He'll make sure you're included in his schedule. He'll put effort behind the vision he's talking about. Because to him, the future is not just a story. It's something he's already working toward with you in mind. Here's another sign when he asks about your future. If a man is asking about your dreams, your goals, your plans, that's not small talk. That's him checking to see how his future and your future can line up. If he's saying things like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or would you ever want to live somewhere else? That's not just curiosity. That's him trying to picture his life alongside yours. And if he's asking those questions, it's because you're already taking up space in his mind. What you've got to realize is this: men don't casually talk about the future with people they don't value. They keep it light, they keep it surface, they keep it temporary. But when you're hearing a man say, "Wet, more than me," when you hear him making plans that stretch out into the days and months to come, that's a window into how much you're on his mind, because men think about what they want and they talk about what they can't stop thinking about. If he's talking about you in his future, it's because you're already there in his thoughts permanently, consistently, deeply.